What a week it was. The big question, are these sin binnings and send-offs and over-officiating, to put it lightly, are they ruining the game or are they in the players' best interest? Take it away, Sean.
Well, Peppy, do you want to give us a run through of what happened last round, being Magic Round? Well, what was the numbers that came out of it?
Well, they had 14 sin bins and 3 send-offs. So often you won't get 3 send-offs in a season.
Yes.
Verlandis, came out 2 weeks ago, I believe, with an email saying everyone's been warned, you've got to change your tackling technique. Any contact to the head, your players will go to the bin. There was 4 in the Knights-Tigers game. There was 4 in the Manly-Brisbane game. And some of the ones, like the Tyson Gamble one, like there was so little in that.
Slap on the chops.
Yeah, the Chad Townsend, he didn't go to the bin, but he got reported for a crusher tackle. And I get what they're trying to do.
I think there was, and the other number, I can't remember. I was in the 40s though. I think it was over 40 people. No, 24. Anyway, there was a lot of people put on report from this week as well, which then ended up in a lot of guys missing this round too.
Yeah, well, Mark's got the judiciary there. I doubt it's 40, but
I think it was 24.
Might have been pushing, 20.
Because it was more than the sin bins. I think it was 10 more than the sin bins.
Yep, no, that sounds about right. I get what they're trying to do. The intention there is good. We talk about concussion. We talk about it every week. You don't want guys, having problems later on in life. But the way they went about it, and it's such a big dick move from Verlandis it's Magic Round,
it's no coincidence.
We've got 120,000 people going over 3 days. People have travelled, and it was like watching a completely different game.
It was like, hold my beer, let me see how I fuck this up.
And there was one good game. Like the Raiders Bulldogs was the only game that was entertaining after half time. And some of the games, like the Manly Brisbane game, that was done after 20 minutes. That the Dragons won, and in the referee's defence, that high shot from Fuyamano on Pappenhausen was bad. That was probably a send off.
Yeah,
that's deserved.
But then a lot of these sin binnings, you're just going, what is going on? And then bang, straight away the advantage goes to the other team. In the Manly Brisbane one, you had Gamble and Ricky getting sin binned within 30 seconds of each other.
Yep.
And then Manly, to be honest, it probably didn't change the outcome of the game, but Manly went bang, 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 3 tries in 10 minutes, and then
game's over.
Yeah, I flicked straight over to the AFL. I couldn't give a fuck.
Same thing happened with Storm and Dragons.
Yep.
Who went first? Was Maguire went first to the bin?
Maguire went to the bin,
and then
then I think whilst he was in the bin, Fuyamano had his high shot. And they actually managed to get to halftime at 14-10 somehow.
Yeah. But if you were a fan at the start of that game, you're looking at saying, hey, Storm need to play the best Dragons need to play the best they've ever played to beat the Storm.
Yeah.
After 8 minutes, you lose a guy. After 13, you lose a follower, and you're like, I'm going to go play golf.
Yeah, that's literally what I did.
And to go back to that Raiders game, they did lose Whiting, I think, first, and then Papali followed him.
Yeah.
So I think there was about 3 minutes where they played with 11. But I think it was more, it shows how poorly the Bulldogs are going, where they did come back a little bit, but they couldn't capitalise on that massive advantage, and the Raiders did hang on in that game, which they probably should have lost.
Yeah, we'll say they do that this weekend and against the Storm.
They're getting pumped anyway this week, but we'll get to that after the judiciary.
Yeah, so more send-offs, more fatigue, more errors. I think that's the general gist of things. As we said, it's affecting the product. The winning side averaged 37 points this weekend. That is obscene. We did see rugby union, banning the shoulder charge and any contact above the chest, they'll say. So even if you were getting guys' shoulders, and to be honest, I've never been a big rugby fan here. None of us really have been.
Yeah, not huge into it.
But watching it can be kind of painful from my perspective. But they did see at that World Cup that their head knocks and the concussion rates dropped 28%. So
the story behind this was when they first started implementing this in 2017, the general rule of thumb was high shots penalties.
Yep.
Refs saw no real decrease in high shots or any effect of that rule. It's only when they started giving them yellow cards, red cards, sending them off when they saw that drop. So,
and I suppose that's the thinking from Verlandis. If you start punishing it and coming down hard and cracking down, people are gonna have to change their tackling technique. For mine, you do that in a trial game. You do that at New South Wales Cup level. You start changing and tinkering rules there. to do it on what's meant to be this big festival of footy on 2 weeks' notice. And he was on 360 saying, that the club's had plenty of time to implement new tackling technique. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
To change, 120-year-old sport.
Yeah, but you got to also think, and I wanted to cover this because for a long time, especially when young bloke, they come through, they teach you to tackle pubes to pubes. So it's the top of your groin to your armpits, essentially. Mm-hmm. That's your tackle box, that spot. Then around that time, let's say 05, you had your Sonny Bills, your Mark Gasniers, etc. That were hitting the line, getting through it, and then offloading. Mm-hmm. So then genius men of them saw them, they always get picked at this, but the rest of the coaches picked up pretty quickly. It was like, well, instead let's increase that tackle box. So it's essentially, let's hit the ball and say the top of the shoulders. So that tackle box actually gets smaller. But the idea is absorb that initial hit and then multiple men into the football.
And start wrestling the fuck out of people.
Exactly. And then that's where the wrestling came into
slowing down the ruck.
But you got to, that was 15 years worth of development of tackling. You're not going to get that habit and that culture. And if you ever had to do any change management, you don't fix it in 2 weeks.
No.
It's ingrained habit.
And you saw a heap of ex-NRL players coming out and just criticising the fuck out of it, saying this isn't the game we played, this isn't the game we grew up watching. The intentions were good. I think that's worth covering because, of course, Volandis has come out and he's been slammed, or he's slamming everyone that's been getting stuck into him, saying how how detrimental this is to the game. Detrimental. And kind of trying to push this hey, we've got to do this. Like you said, the big dick play. I don't think anyone's criticising the fact that they are now taking a significant stance on head knocks or head collisions, whatever you want to. Trauma.
It's good trauma, exactly. I think the more important bit of this is it's about fucking time. I think the follow that question is why are we doing this in round 10?
Yeah.
Doing
it over an off season, you've got trial games. Yeah. That seems like the smart way of doing it.
Exactly. And
then the counter argument to that is, well, how many people get concussed in the next 6 months because of us not changing the rules?
Yeah, but why didn't they do this in February and January? When we talked about how they rushed in the medical sub rule and tried to get that put into place. So, that they did something. And as we all correctly realised, it was this rule's never going to get used because this has never happened, the amount of concussions. They're going to have to increase sin bins and send-offs to be able to facilitate that rule. Now you've got this kind of following up. We talked about this a month ago and we've led straight into this. But then, the NRL, again, they've had the right intention. They just fucked up the implementation. And I don't think they've really had a look into it too deeply about possible solutions. Because I'm going to pick on the Raiders game. I think Jack Whiten's tackle, he hits him above the knee and the hip, the thigh kind of area. It needed to hit hip. But the angle of the trajectory he's gone is too low and taken out the legs. It's foul play, but it's more lazy. I don't think that's a 10 minute kind of sin bin. No. But I'd be happy if the ref would be like, hey, go sit down for 5 minutes. Bring in something like the NHL, penalty box, go sit down for 5 minutes.
Change the rules again.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if we'd done this in February, we could have had a look at it. Because the other one I was thinking about, if we're going to increase the send-offs, we're going to force more teams to play with 12 men, and then, that's going to be a significant issue into there's a high tackle here and there.
Tyson Frizzell.
Just copped one on the cheeks. Let's see if someone ends up in the bin from this one. But if they're going to increase the send-offs, they're going to make guys play with 12 men. That means Samalolo as well. It's going to mean more loose arms. That's got to be bin based on last week.
Yep.
There he goes. 10 men.
There you go. It's contact with the head.
Yeah. So, and that's a slap and chop. So in my imaginary world, I'd say maybe that's 5. Sitting down for 5 minutes. So because 10 minutes it's an eighth of the game, and it's 1 quarter of a half. So it's a significant portion.
Math lad down here.
So it's a significant portion of the game.
Yeah,
so
like we said, we were seeing people scoring teams scoring 3 tries in that 10 minutes. So that changes the outcome of a game.
I don't mind sin bin. It's 10 minutes is good. You're obviously putting your side offside for doing that. That's the detriment.
Yeah, but I'd say
is he going to miss 3-4 weeks now for that hit?
Yeah, but the other point
is what I don't necessarily like about it.
If Tyson had broken his nose and he missed the month, then it was fair. So, I think the the penalty has to warrant the crime, and it's something like that. That's why I'm thinking like a 5 might. They've always talked about the 5 because the 10 never got used. I'd rather see lots more 5s than the occasional 10. But then thinking of this,
but
let's go back to
Brazil's nose broken. Then doesn't that deserve 10 minutes?
Well, 5 minutes and a penalty, you've got. That's already a significant kind of gain. You've just lost, the best.
Yeah, you're basing it on the result, not the action. So they're trying to get rid of the action, so you don't have to base it on the result. Like that's the whole point of it.
But I want to tackle the send-offs because if there's going to be more send-offs, and I started to think, how does that affect games? And what's a game similar that has send-offs in it?
Soccer.
Soccer's the biggest one. So if you look at the red card statistics, essentially, if you get a send-off, it doesn't matter if you're home or away team, the other team is 3 times more likely to win.
Yeah, of course.
And
an extra man.
And it's an extra man. But you got to remember, soccer's not a sport where you got to set a defensive line and make 500 tackles across the entire team. That's right. In a game.
Yeah, you can park the bus. There's different kinds of strategies that you can use.
Exactly. So, it's such a huge loss. And I kind of was thinking, again, to steal some American sport ideas for rules, why is that not, say, an injection? As in, like, take Papale, for example. I think his high shot, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, no, that's a 10 minutes. Why are you sending him off? But then I rewatched it and I was just like, no, I'm fair. I'm fairly copped that a send-off. But then I said, why would you ruin the rest of the game, the product, and play just 12 men? Why? You've already lost him, so why don't we just eject him? You've lost him. You've lost the best player in your time.
You can replace him.
But you can replace him. You've lost the guy on the interchange. And I'd say,
That's not the worst idea.
And also, if the guys are going to say, well, that's, free interchange, blah, 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 I'd say it's a forced interchange. You lose an interchange for that as well. And then I'd say if it's towards the end of the game, last 5 minutes, you got no interchanges left, well, then you're stuffed. You have to play with 12. But I would have thought, so you can keep that 13 on 13, because I was thinking about the NBA does it with their injections. They don't play with 4 guys. And then the NHL,
5 on 4 basketball wouldn't be much.
No, and well, the NFL. Like, can you imagine if
depends who the 4 were? I think.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I was here too. Like my last episode on the Esky, I had the whole theory of playing 12 aside. You want to fit 2 extra teams, so I'm all for less players on the field.
Yeah.
So maybe I am the revolutionary. I think I am. Fernandes and I have a direct line.
But I'd say it'd be even, so you don't have to be down. Because like, imagine the NFL with Tom Brady got ejected, and then Tampa Bay had to play without a quarterback. They had to play 10 aside versus 11. Like, it just ruins that entire product of what they're trying to there. So that's why I'm kind of thinking the same sort of idea.
Yeah, but if Tom Brady gets knocked out by an illegal hit, it's the exact same thing. So but you're ejecting the other. It's you're losing that guy as well. So it's
what you're saying is punish a player, not the team.
Yes.
Yeah, they're one and the same for mine.
Yeah, well, you're punishing the team anyway. You're losing a really good player. It's it's not like you don't really see a team sending out third stringers on there to then go destroy Tom Brady. So then he gets ejected. Like, it's just not how they play, because it's just not doable. And like, you're not going to see that in this week. Go out there, so someone goes out and knocks out Nathan Cleary, and then he's going to sit in the. You send him off. Yes, you can play with 13, but you've got 3 on the bench, and we've already seen how difficult it is when you're down on the bench guy. You've lost an interchange. Like, I think that fits as enough penalty in the game that when you come to, he's probably getting another month or so after that you're going to lose that player significantly. So the team's already impacted. I just wanted to make it more of a fair contest for the remainder of that game. That was kind of my point.
What do you got there, Max?
Yeah, so very loosely, I've just brought up Rugby World Cup red cards as well. So going back to your soccer chat, and generally speaking, the team that player gets a red card for, they're on the losing side as well.
Yeah,
there's the odd occurrence where they're not, but
it's
Luis Suarez got a deliberate red card, won them the game.
Yeah. There's a few aspects of that.
Stats behind it, I guess.
Yeah, the stats are like, I think for the soccer it was on average, depending what side you're on, you're like a 40% chance of winning a game. Of course, they've got lots of draws, but you get a red card that jumps past 60. So
it changes the game a lot.
It changes. It's a huge change in that. And just to finish up our points on this, some people kind of coming out their reactions that one, it's about showing the sport for the mums and dads. They want it to be a bit safer. I'm not sure if you boys saw the video of, I think they're like 6-year-olds in America, and one of those dudes, one of these kids tries to tackle another guy. They're wearing full gear, absolutely gets lit up and laid on his ass. And it's like, that's not what you want to be seeing, is sending home for a product of what mums and dads are doing. So they don't want to the concussions, the long term aspects, results. I think a player came out this week and said he got knocked out. We're talking 80s. He got knocked out in the 80s. They took him in the dressing room smelling salts and they sent him back out. Like he woke up in the dressing room and they sent him back out. Like
it's a very different world and climate now, isn't it?
So of course they're worried about the same lawsuit. That could be binnable as well. There could be. They're worried about what the NFL went through with the
lawsuit. Yeah,
where they settled for $1 billion, but it's a league that makes
I don't know.
10, 20 times, a lot more than that.
Yeah, a lot. This is going to be a sin bin you watch.
Yeah, he's gone. So that's 2 in the bin for the Cowboys.
And the Knights are back in the game. Well, it's actually been the opposite of what was happening last week, where this is actually evened up the contest. So
the equaliser.
But it should have. It's 13-11 now. The Knights should now take a good 20-point lead in this game.
I think we need to move on, Sean, because we've got a lot to get through, and we could probably argue about.
I will finish on this one note. So
I had 1 point. Can I just finish on the NFL?
Sorry, you go first.
The NFL comparison, because there's also chat that came out during the week. They're going to try and limit contacts in training.
Yes.
At the moment, the NFL does 14 padded practices.
I couldn't believe that when you.
Yeah, it's like one a week.
Yeah. Well, there must be weeks where they don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you look at any of the videos of like the mini camps that are going on at the moment, no, they might have shoulders, but they have no helmets. Yeah. Or they might not have anything.
Or they have a helmet and nothing else.
Yeah. So it's very rarely that they're full padded up contact practices.
So round 10 judiciary, there's 25 matches across players being served. Guess how many was in week 9?
All of them. Less than
all of them.
4.
8.
Yeah.
So huge shift this last week.
Yeah. Mac has been talking about there's not enough talent in NRL, and then you just.
It's on display tonight, Thursday night footy.
Well, if you put 24 players, miss say a week to a month worth of football, that's a team and a half as the Knights go in again to probably tie this game up.
Sammy Walker, his uncle came out and spoke with, I think, NRL 360, saying pretty much he was bullied.
Sorry, I just want to keep going on about this.
Well, mate, I get it, but we'll talk about it for 3 hours. We should have done a special.
I'm just like watching this. I was like, I don't want to watch this game anymore. Like, and it's no point.
But and so many people,
it's not competitive.
So many people were comment. Well, but this game, it's the opposite, because this is a team that's had a lead and now it's going to actually make it an interesting game. But the counter happened at Magic Round, where teams that already had a lead or an advantage, i.e. a Manly Brisbane or a Storm Dragons, ended up, the game getting iced after 30 minutes.
Yeah, but this passage of players, it's not competitive football.
It's 13 and 11. You just got to find the overlap and
it's not enjoyable. Like, it's not a contest. And I think the final point is they need to fix this shit before State of Origin, because I don't really want to watch more football, regular season games.
I think they asked Philandis and they said, is State of Origin going to be officiated the same way? And he said, yes, you betcha. So
yeah, but my point back to where I was saying, like, it would have been good if they come up with an implementation before the start of the season.
Yeah, so if you can completely change the way you tackle.
Yeah, that, and also they could have said, well, a send-offs now, like they could have done send-offs now, ejections. We've got 10 minutes in bin. We've got 5 minutes in bin. If you do this, like, give examples. If you do this, off. 10 minutes is this. 5 minutes is this. Very, very clear kind of rules. Everyone understood what was going on. Everyone had the same expectation coming into the season. So we're not here in round 10, now going into round 11 going, what the fuck's going on? Next week, are the rules going to be different again?
Yeah, well, the way it's been, yeah.
Everyone loved Volandis. Let's just play during COVID. Let's do it. Let's bring in new rules. Oh my God, the game's in such a good position. Let's, sin bin everyone. What?
We didn't talk about
now we go full 180 on Volandis.
Yeah. I think Volandis still been great for the game, and I think this is a great push. I just don't think the implementation's been good. And they came out today with the fatigue stats and said, it's not as more fatiguing as previous years. And then it's like, well, what the fuck was the point of all the new rules we created to increase
stats as well
pace,
in that article?
Oh, definitely, because you look at the stats where they kind of say, less run meters, but there's more tries, more stoppages, so there's actually less time in play. But then the speeds of players have actually, the amount of times you're running over, flat out running has increased. So you actually, the game is played at a more pace. You are covering those meters in shorter amount of time.
That's more just, I'd say, your backs and your wingers being able to break the line
Yeah,
but they're just sprinting down the field. Like I think that's where that running.
Yeah, but then everyone else is chasing them after it. So it's like the game. They're actually covering covering less meters, but they're covering those meters quicker with more pace. That's what I'm saying. So if you're having to run harder, doesn't that cause fatigue? So I think they need to look at their stats a bit more and break it down. If it's not creating fatigue, they need to look at the rules they just put in to increase the pace because obviously it hasn't worked.